All right, one of these days I'll figure out how to edit that stuff out, but that's for another day. Today we'll just put out content instead. So this is episode 3 of season 1. I think that sounds cooler to say it that way, of the Power Forward podcast, where we talk about mindset, basketball, insurance, winter, Christmas, a little bit of everything because everybody talks insurance on podcasts and it gets a little bit boring. So we like to mix it in and talk life, comma, insurance, and everything in between, like the group says. So, Waylon, say hi. Let the group know that you are with us this morning, as I say every morning, and we'll get this thing kicked off.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, everybody's having a great day.
Awesome. So, today's topic, as I ramble on for a moment and get settled in, is why people leave. Why people leave an FMO, IMO, your face, my face, all those letters, but also why they should probably stay, or what would be a good reason to leave. Kind of a multifaceted approach to the divorce side of the insurance business.
Mhm.
So, Waylon, you've seen a lot of it. Any introductory thoughts over why people leave different IMOs?
Yeah, I mean, I think this will be a great conversation. First of all, there's a lot of different reasons, like some of them can be personal, obviously. Some of them can be just business, which those seem to be the best fractures or splits, if you will, when it's just business and people can move along the IMO agency and the agency owner themselves can move and conduct business as usual or as smooth as possible. And you see some really Jerry Springer-esque departures as well that can get pretty nasty and ugly. You almost feel like you're watching like divorce court sometimes with some of these. So a lot of things and variables come into play with it. And I really think that the good departures and the bad departures all have some of at least the ones that I've seen have all had some similarities as far as the different things you see that make them good or bad. There's a lot of common ground on those that you see in the industry.
Yeah, I think a lot of times it gets very, very personal. And sometimes people need to take a pause, take a day, take a week, and take a look at what's going on from the business side. Because
Yep.
as much as this is a relationship, as much as there are a lot of emotions invested in it, are you looking at it from a business perspective? I remember we had an observational moment from this level. You're here, I'm here in life, people are over here. And we're like, a lot of times the folks that are over here in the field really struggle when the people over here aren't on the same page with each other.
Absolutely.
So when you get into that middle and upper end of the hierarchy and you're leading and growing people, you also have to hold into account that your actions directly affect the people below you, probably even more than you as well. Because I've witnessed it and I've seen it. I'm sure you have as well, right?
Exactly. It's just the energy thing, and you're transferring. And when you're on the same page, it's difficult because those are those people that are working within your agency or IMO or whatever you want to call it. They're looking to you as leadership, and when the leadership isn't on the same page, they might call you one day and then call me the next and have the same question. If we're answering it completely different ways, it's tough. I mean, it's tough for them to move forward because now they're split. It's like, oh, well, do I do it this way or do I do it that way? How do I move forward? Right. And then that just creates more of a fracture in the relationship between agency owner FMO as those things begin happening. I mean, we've watched it, we've lived it. So it's really important to communicate and be on the same page as best as possible. It doesn't mean agree on everything. Part of the business relationship is disagreeing. Man, like, hey, I think you did that wrong, or hey, I think this is incorrect. Hey, this needs to be fixed. But when people aren't on the same page and they're the leadership, it really leads to a lot of times the big mass exoduses of groups that you see that can happen out there.
Yeah. I've learned and I've watched and I've observed oftentimes agents, maybe unintentionally, maybe intentionally, well, mom and dad, they're people in the hierarchy, their upline, their leadership, their whatever term you want to use. They'll go to you. And if they don't get the answer they like, they'll go to me. If they don't like the answer I like, they'll go to somebody else. And then eventually they'll find the answer they wanted, even if it isn't the right answer, because they were probably told the right thing from the very beginning. Have
Yep.
you witnessed the mom and dad approach too from agents?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It's, and everybody's got different management styles too. So people will tend to go to the person who seems more gentle or more motherly, if you will, in their approach to things a lot of times because they want a gentle answer when sometimes telling people just, hey, here is the facts, fix it, is usually the best way. At least that's how I played sports growing up, and like I was the type of kid like I needed a coach to like kind of get my ass a little bit and be like, hey, you idiot, like fix it, like quit screwing up. That doesn't bug me, but some people get a little emotional and don't want to be told like, hey, you're being shitty, fix it, be better.
Yeah.
And then that's kind of an epidemic in insurance, is people being a little bit overly sensitive about being told that their shit stinks sometimes. It's like, hey, you know, the simple stuff like we talk about on our calls all the time. It's like work every day, work leads every week, buy leads. It's like you say it until you go into a coma, but it's all the truth.
Yeah.
So
I think there are a couple good reasons though that somebody should make a change in an organization, in who they work with, in their moment in life. And let's run through a couple of these together and see what your thoughts are. Because again, little asterisk at the top, every situation can be different. This should be a disclaimer for I'm not making a bold face assumption on your situation if you're watching. So just this general parameters here. Somebody might be willing or might consider or might want to leave an organization if they have, I think, really low commission levels and really high lead cost. Because it's usually a trade-off for one or the other. But what if you're in a situation watching this video, Waylon, where they're on a really low commission level and they're paying full price for leads?
yeah,
What do you think?
absolutely. I mean, you know, you owe it to yourself. I like to think that, listen, we're a broker because we want to represent multiple companies to be able to give the people we set with the best option. You owe it to yourself as a broker to interview other brokerages and talk to them when you're getting started, or if you feel just innately like, something's off here. Are there reasons to give up some commission? Sure, there are, right? And I think the industry's gone a little insane with believing they're entitled to certain levels. However, there is an overcorrection of that and giving somebody egregiously low levels to justify a little bit of training here and there. That should be expected. Should be an apprenticeship style with a solid commission level. So absolutely, especially with the rising cost of marketing now, you know, for a final expense only person, marketing is more expensive than it's ever been, but contracts are as strong or better than they've ever been. Rates are strong still. So, you know, average sales have risen because of income rising. So there's a lot of things to offset that. But again, it goes back to, you have to be at the right level to be getting paid what you're worth to run your business. So
it's a balancing act. It's not all comp. Not everybody should get a 185% contract level, but it's also, what are you getting for what are you getting back? A really, really good mentor of mine in the industry works at an organization that is LOA, has what you would, I guess, consider very low commission levels, but they don't pay $1 for leads. They don't have to worry about taxes. They don't have to worry about um, much on the logistical end. So the give and take really does work in that situation, and it works for the right kind of people. And he'll openly admit that it isn't the right fit for all agents either. So sometimes it is what's best for your situation, your needs, your. Some people really like a rah-rah culture. Some people want to be left alone. Like there's a lot of different fits out there, but it isn't all about the biggest contract, I think. Um, we say this all the time. Leads is the next on the list. I'm leaving because I'm not getting any leads, or they don't have a lead program, or where do I get a lead program?
Yep.
Do you feel like the whatever organization you tie yourself to at that time should offer some type of a lead program?
I do. And I have a lot after running and overseeing a lead program now for years. One, yes, it's extremely important. You have to have some kind of lead support or system or something. There gotta be options. Gotta be. And it doesn't even have to be internal. You can be transparent and use a vendor or whatever, but there has to be a system in place. Absolutely. That's the marketing side is literally in the name of an IMO, marketing organization. If you don't market, you're just an IO. You're an insurance organization.
Yeah.
And who the hell wants to work with no IMO? Everybody likes IMOs nowadays. Everybody is one. So, you know, you have to have it. What I will say, though, is something that I've learned over the last probably 12 to 18 months. Agents, be careful of scapegoating and saying your IMO doesn't have this or doesn't have that when you put in a lead order 3 different times and your card declined 7 different times for those leads. Yeah, That's not the IMO's fault. That's yours. If you can't be reliable and have your credit card go through every Friday or Monday or Tuesday or Thursday or whenever your group does leads, it's tough for that IMO to want to put the money up because it isn't free. Think about it this way. You got, let's call leads. Let's just call them $40 because that's honestly about average what we're seeing right now. Direct mail final expense $40. Say you get, 30 a week, $1,200. Let's say we're holding 3 weeks inventory. That's $3,600 the IMO level we're sitting on.
Mm-hmm.
Your card declines one time, we not mail that week. That just messes everything up. Mm-hmm. Everything. It just is it's a shot in the matrix, and it's like, uh-oh, now what? And then 3 weeks from now, you're going to be mad at me. Your upline's going to be mad at me, and it's going to be like, well, let's trace the root of this. So be careful, agents specifically. Don't scapegoat your IMO because you had 1, 2, 3 bad weeks of leads. But yes, there has to be a program in place.
Yeah, and a program could simply be, this is 3 vendors we recommend. Honestly, that's okay. A program could be, we have an in-house program where you do X, Y, and Z and the leads come in. There just has to be some kind of an option. Unfortunately, there is marketing involved with this, and you need to have a way to go market yourself to people who don't know who you are.
Yep.
I remember one of the times I made a decision to leave an organization. It was a lead-based decision, and I had plenty of leads. I'm in the market where you'll find direct mail until mail stops going out. I guarantee it. There will always be direct mail in the Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, New Jersey. There'll always be leads here. But Absolutely. Throughout my small little team, they weren't getting leads. And I said to myself, this just doesn't work. And I had to make a decision after weeks and weeks and weeks of not seeing leads. The other time I made a change was a compensation decision. I had great culture, decent carriers, great lead program, but the compensation was garbage. And I thought to myself, this isn't the American Legion. This isn't a social club. This isn't a cigar of the month club. This is a business. And I'm giving away 20, 30, 40% more money for it just didn't make sense anymore. But these kind of decisions, I think, need to be well thought out, well planned out, well reasoned with. Oftentimes, face-to-face discussion should be had. Take the emotion out of it. Waylon, when should somebody stay? Like maybe they're pissed off at their upline, maybe their leads are short, maybe the relationship's just in a sour moment right now. But when should an agent stay where they are, and that's the right decision to make?
I think that's an internal question. Like the first thing you have to do when you mentally think, okay, I'm going to leave the organization, you have to be pretty hard on yourself and say, okay, what have I done to try to be a resolution in these issues? It could be as simple as like lining them up, like write them down. Like, what am I mad about? I'm mad about leads. I'm mad about my comp. I'm mad about not having this carrier. I'm mad about my upline not answering calls when I'm in a house. I'm mad about not having the technology, CRMs, whatever it is. What is making you disheartened? What is angering you? What is making you want to leave? And then really be introspective. Like, what did I do to try to make it better? Did I try anything, or did I just say, well, here's my issues, I want out? Because that happens every day. It's easy to be that person. It's really easy to just say, oh, I'm out. Like, I'm mad about this. I don't want to work here anymore. I want to go to the next organization. Because I can tell you, as a person who runs an organization, we have issues every day that you really can't plan for, but I know they're going to come at some point. There's going to be weeks where there aren't leads. There's going to be shortages. There's going to be times when an upline might not be available all the time, and that's where culture and things come into play. But it's not a perfect world, but really be introspective and be like, man, what have I done to make this better? And if your issues kind of begin in a sense of mind of like, here's my issues, and maybe it's purely a way that the group conducts business. That's a good one. Like, I don't want to do business this way. I want to do it that way. And this organization fits that style better. Those types of things make more sense rather than those little issues that can arise that sometimes can be fixed depending on, again, relationships and things.
Unfortunately, most problems tend to be you problems. Could be you're having your own problem, I'm having my own problem. It's not the organization's problem. It's probably an introspective. Is this really your problem? Unfortunately or fortunately, you're running your business right now. I'm running my business, you're running your business. Oftentimes your businesses commingle through each other in a hierarchy, but it's your business. It's your responsibility to purchase leads, to go out and see people, to present the product, and to put money in your bank account. In the end, you'll find a way to be successful if you put the effort in, but this is your business. People
Mhm.
love to wear shirts and brands and IMOs this and your label that and what place are you with. It's your business, honestly. And
Mhm.
once you reach that point, you'll be more responsible for its success or its failure. Oh, Waylon, I came up with this quote once, and if I got tattoos, I would probably put this one somewhere. The grass is greener on the other side because you're not watering your own grass.
Mhm.
A lot of times people want to make these big changes and they're neglecting themselves at that point in time. And that's why the grass across the street looks a lot greener. What do you
Absolutely.
think about that?
That's the truth. I mean, listen, you're in an IMO, you're in a rut, things aren't going great. You talk to Jimmy John, who runs IMO B. He's trying to recruit you. He's not going to tell you if something sucks. Like, oh man, our lead program sucks, but we'll give you good comp. You're not going to hear about that. It's just like, I don't post like, you know, you look at my Instagram story, it's not me missing shots. I make shots on my Instagram story. I look like Michael Jordan. I'm not that good at basketball, but I look good on my Instagram story or on my Facebook story. So it's the same perspective. Like, of course, it looks good over there. FMOs aren't posting their banter and promotional stuff of, oh yeah, agent. We don't have a leaderboard of who hasn't been able to make a lead deposit. We have a leader who sold the most applications. Like, there's a reason for that. And again, I'm not saying we should. I mean, you don't want to run this business negatively. There's plenty of things to be negative about, but in the same breath, you want to make sure that, like, do your research, find somebody. In the age of the internet, you can find somebody who's worked with that group, around that group, or knows that person pretty quick. Make a couple calls, send a couple messages, connect with some people, ask some real questions, and again, do your due diligence. Like, of course, it looks good over there. The grass is going to be 8 foot tall and green as can be, but the grass is only green until the drought, because again, there's no perfect group. I promise, it doesn't exist. If it did, we'd all work for it.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, I think people forget there's ebb and flow in business and in relationships, and no relationship is perfect all the time. Things are going to go wrong, and sometimes they're a lot better once you've gone through the thing going wrong. But if you never get your chance to go through the going wrong thing, it's never going to get better anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I think I gave a talk once after a ton of coffee. You throw seeds down in the grass. I think this is actually in the Bible somewhere. And some will grow, some won't, some for reasons, some won't. But you're never going to grow in an organization or your own business if you don't give yourself a chance to build roots. It takes time to get big, and if you're constantly ripping yourself out and planting it somewhere else, your plant's never going to get very big. I've gone through it before, yeah, twice, and I think maybe you could tell me if I'm wrong. If you leave IMO A and go to IMO B, even with just yourself, not even talking to other agents, how long do you think it takes before you're back into a stable, consistent lead purchasing, contract running, like stable system again? From the moment you say, F you, I'm leaving, and I go work with him, how long until things are stable again?
Best case scenario, as far as having your carriers and all of that, like 2-3 months. Like best case scenario. If you've got a downline, it gets really wild.
Yeah.
Now with all the different carriers, it's solved a lot of that. But again, we're using the word stable. So by stable, I think of like business, status quo as far as business as usual. It takes a while for those things to happen. Even if IMO A and B are cordial and have releases in hand and everything, you got to think of it from a carrier's perspective. They're not making any additional money by moving John to Jim and Jim to John. It doesn't matter to them. That's not a new agent. It's the same agent with a different group. They're just paying somebody different. So it
Yeah.
costs them money to move them. So it takes a while. I mean, the honest answer to be status quo, because new FMO doesn't want to send out leads if the contracts aren't moved, because they're not making money. Because a lot of these FMOs, the good ones, they're not making money on the leads. I can promise you that. Despite what a lot of people think, FMOs aren't getting rich off the direct mail programs. I can tell you that for a fact. It's a big burn. At the end of the year on the balance sheet, it's a big red item. So it's just about how red it's going to be. So no, I mean, it takes a while, 2 to 3 months minimum. If you have a downline, you're looking at really 3 to 6.
Yeah.
if you have a sizable downline. So it takes time. I mean, again, in an ideal world, it's like, oh, it'd be great. But, some people are more comfortable with introducing new products and things. And if they are, that definitely shortens that. So,
Yeah, I would say minimum 2 to 3 months as a single producer from the moment you make a change. Um, Minimal to moderate to large size team, you're talking 3, 6 months. Um, You're going to lose some people. You might gain some people. It might be the right decision to make, but it isn't like something that happens the next day. And I think sometimes people forget that as well, that you're talking a long time before things are settled again, even in a perfect type situation.
mhm.
Um, I guess one last thing we can wrap this up on is another conversation or talk about you problems. People want to blame everybody but themselves sometimes because it's the hardest to blame themselves for what's going on. So, what can we say about you problems to help somebody really relate to this conversation?
The biggest thing is identifying them. We get this like rose-colored glasses thing, and I think it starts with because a lot of times you're not going to see. It's like a relationship. Like you're a lot of times, a lot of people aren't going to split with their significant other unless there's someone else, right? Same thing with IMOs. You have someone else in mind, someone who's probably caught your ear or eye, and you now think that you have the answer. Okay. With that being said, that creates an environment where now you have no accountability at all, because now you have a scapegoat. You can say it was my IMO's fault that none of this happened, and now I can just go here and restart. That's great, but what's going to keep it from happening again if you never self-correct it? So before you decide that, oh, it's all my FMO's fault, they stink, I hate this place, I'm going here and it's going to be amazing, going to I'm going to Atlantis, the greatest FMO ever.
That's a
If you
damn good name. Hold on,
if
hold
you're
on.
if
Atlantis.
if your FMO is Atlantis, I'm sorry, that's kind
Oh
of it's,
crap.
but yeah. So with that being said, just take some time and think about like, okay, what have I done? What have I done wrong? And don't create like a comparison game either. Like, oh, my FMO did this wrong, so I was allowed to do that wrong. Like, no, just look at yourself. And that's it. If your card declined 3 out of 12 weeks for leads, well, there you go. You weren't perfect, so stop. Stop complaining. Get a new credit card. Get a higher limit. Get
Go to work.
make more sales. Work harder. Something, right? Like take time to look and see like, what did I do wrong? What have I been doing wrong? And if you genuinely can say like, I'm on a lead program, I'm getting, I'm working this amount of time, and those are things you can't overcome, then sure, look for other opportunities.
Perfect. Anything on the sports front that you think was interesting last week? I know we're getting into the winter meetings now. I'm waiting for like 82 trades and trades harder to become a billionaire.
That's where I'm at with everything, and I'm waiting for something to happen. There's a bunch of like minor deals of guys that no one's ever heard of so far, and I'm like, I want somebody to get paid $1 zillion. I love baseball deals. It's just like 32 years, $700 trillion. I'm like, sweet. We got an outfielder till his grandmother's or his grandkids are his age, so it's awesome. So
Baseball
that's
contracts are
about it.
guaranteed. Love it.
I know it's great. I picked the wrong sport, which I don't play sports, but yeah, I mean it's unbelievable. I mean that, and one thing I will shout out to Joe Burrow, my Cincinnati Bengals beat the Chiefs. Let's go. I'm not a Bengals fan, I'm a Browns fan, but I played high school sports with Joe Burrow, so that's my only claim to fame as an athlete in high school. So we'll take that to the bank.
Yeah. I mean, I look at the MLB trade rumors right now. It says Mets, Phillies, Cubs, Orioles among teams pursuing Jameson Taillon. So
There you go.
statistically speaking, two of the teams I'm an hour from have a good odd of signing Jameson Taillon. Adam Brsan might be happy if they sign Jameson Taillon, and nobody cares about the Mets. So
Yeah.
it works
Nope.
in one of our three favors this morning. One of us on the podcast is going to get a good pitcher.
I'm in. I'm in. I love it. I mean, listen, like I said, it's probably going to be. I think Zach Wheeler signed for. Didn't he just sign? I believe.
Yeah, we got
No,
Wheeler a couple years ago, but that was a big deal too.
yeah, wait, no, DeGrom. Somebody
DeGrom,
from
yeah.
signed for like 5 years, 180 million or something great.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, baseball contracts. Kids, if you're watching this, learn how to throw really well, and you'll do okay in life.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Appreciate everyone for watching today. We have a whole week, another full week before the Christmas holiday, which is on a weekend anyway. Thank God, or whatever deity you pray to. It's not much of a distraction when it comes to your business. Like the video, comment below if you want something for us to talk about. Subscribe to the channel, and we appreciate you watching. And we'll see you next week.